In the heart of an impenetrable mangrove forest in Edo State, Nigeria, lies a sinister empire shrouded in darkness, a place where innocence is shattered, and the wickedness of men knows no bounds. This is the Black Pot of Ink Republic of Young Girls for Old Men, a clandestine haven for the powerful and depraved. Miriam, a young girl ensnared in a web of deceit, finds herself at the mercy of an emperor whose cruelty knows no limits. With each passing day, the walls of this nightmarish palace close in, threatening to extinguish the last flicker of hope. Driven by insatiable desires and an unyielding hunger for control, AIG Bola stands at the center of this malevolent universe. His twisted ideology and relentless pursuit of power lead him down a path of no return. Within these walls, betrayal, manipulation, and fear are the currency of survival. Every encounter, every whispered word, brings our characters closer to a confrontation that will leave none unscathed. As the web of deceit tightens, the stakes become ever higher. In this game of power and survival, who will emerge unbroken? And who will fall into the abyss? Welcome to the Black Pot of Ink Republic, a world where innocence is a mere illusion, and the true cost of power is revealed.
Under cloud, beneath the stars, over snow on winter's morn, I turn at last to paths that lead home. And oh, where the road then takes me, I cannot tell. We came all this way, but now comes the day to bid you farewell.
Welcome to the Black Pot of Ink Sex Republic of Young Girls for Old Men. An empire built by old men for old men through a contributory trust fund to protect themselves from age-related ailments.
But I am hellbound. Oh, this is all for you. Don't wanna hide the truth. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come. When you pull my key, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide. Don't get too close. It's dark inside. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide.
Episode 1. The chief's chamber was filled with an uneasy silence, broken only by the muffled sobs from the adjoining room. Zeph, the house guard, approached the chief with a concerned expression. "Chief, she is still crying." "She cries all day," Zeph reported, his voice tinged with worry. The chief looked up from his desk, a glint of impatience in his eyes. "Has she eaten anything?" he asked, his tone calm but firm. Zeph shook his head. "Not anymore. She says she wants to go home and refuses to eat. Instead, she prefers to cry her eyes so red they will soon run dry of tears and ooze blood." The chief sighed and leaned back in his chair. "It's all right, Zeph. I believe she will get used to it. She will surely come true for us. That's how every one of them starts off. She only needs time to get adapted." "How often do you try to persuade her?" "As often as she would let me approach her. She behaves like a viper and sprays spittle more recklessly than the rainy clouds. And it comes with as much volume as would drown an antelope." It's possible you could catch blindness if you bring your face within reach of her saliva, Zeph replied, a hint of frustration in his voice. The chief frowned, considering Zeph's words. She is too violent to be useful, Chief. She is not coping too. Left to me, I would say, let's let this girl off. She's too young for this sort of thing. 15 years is too early. The chief's patience wore thin. Damn it. And spare me all these moral indoctrinations. The world has gone nuts. And it will only be evidence of madness not to go nuts with it.
Episode 2. In another part of the building, Miriam sat in a corner, her face pale and her eyes swollen from crying. Amina, a girl who had been there for 4 weeks, approached her with a look of sympathy. Miriam, I have told you to stop this crying thing. It won't help you. If only you could look at yourself in the mirror. If only you could see your pale face, observe your swollen eyelids, notice your drawn lips, and become aware of your disheveled hair, would you realize what sorry figure you caught and come to terms with the harm you do to yourself? The worst thing that could happen to a girl is to look unkempt, Amina advised gently. Miriam looked at Amina, her eyes filled with despair. That's how I started 4 weeks ago when I came here. But it did not help me. The man says that the world has become so heartless and it's only the heartless who take it by force. When I came here, I thought I would promptly buy back my freedom by embarking on hunger strike. For 5 days I did not allow anything, even water, to enter my mouth. But the approach does not move the man an inch. What was constantly on my lips was, I want to go. I want to go. I want to go home. Have you seen the boss? Miriam asked, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. I don't know. And I don't want to know whoever he is, Amina replied, shaking her head. Miriam's hope faded as she listened. This thing can't help you. It's better to resign to fate and face the odds as they come. Miriam's voice trembled as she asked, where are we? Please, Amina, do you know? You came here a month ago. Do you know what will happen to us? Amina sighed, her voice tinged with resignation. That's why I asked you if you have seen the boss. As you can see, we have been together in this building for the past 1 week. I don't really know where we are. All I can say is that the environment is exotic and pleasant. You need to go outside and simply conclude that we are not in Nigeria. Have you seen a housefly here? Have any mosquitoes whispered to you since you came? Have you experienced any blackouts or water taps that would blow rusty hot air into your bucket when you need water? Did you see any putrid drainage with suffocating stench of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide with decaying human corpses? I don't know whether you saw heaps of refuse or garbage dumps having the upper hand in any part of the surrounding. Have you had time to swim in your private bathtub? Oh, Amina. Stop this babbling. You hurt me the more by doing that. What sort of pleasure is that which is procured under the chain of slavery? Miriam interrupted, her frustration evident. Amina looked at Miriam with a mix of pity and exasperation. I would be a Dutchman if we're in any part of Nigeria. I can't think of any tourist park in the country that could be more extravagantly aesthetic. I won't deny the fact that this place is health-friendly and appealing too. It's only that you kill yourself softly. You need to come out of the doldrums and begin to enjoy life. Miriam shook her head, her voice filled with determination. I don't think there is much better life than the comfort of being free, the company of home. Amina asked, so how did you find yourself here? Miriam's voice quivered as she replied, Amina, please tell me the truth. Are they going to kill us? What will happen to me? Amina's eyes filled with sorrow as she confessed, I don't know. Miriam, I don't know. When I first came here, I thought and acted the same way you're now doing. But I'm telling you that it did not help me and may not help you. The only thoughts that now occupy me are the fact that I'm enjoying myself here. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want to eat it. I'm on the internet 24 hours enjoying online events worldwide, glued to cable TV channels for as long as I want, watching foreign movies and African films. What more should one ask for?
No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come. When you pull my key, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide. Don't get too close. It's dark inside.
Miriam's voice was filled with incredulity. Amina, that's not what I asked you. I'm not convinced that you're not working for these people. The way you sound makes me scared of you as well. Do you come from a family at all? I wonder the type of background that would make one think the way you do. For God's sake, I can't imagine someone born of parents mortgage her freedom at this price you flaunt. At our age, I think life should be more generous than fulfilling dietary needs and more challenging than watching foreign TV stations, films, and movies. Amina's voice turned somber as she replied, "What of you, Miriam? Did you answer my own question? I asked how you found yourself here. I don't know what will happen to us. The only thing I know is that every week one girl disappears to meet with the boss and never comes back again. They give the impression that it is a great privilege to be invited to see him. No one ever comes back to share her experiences with her successor. But I suspect that the man does some odd things with young girls of our age. I'm sure, though, that he's not a sort of serial killer who uses people to make money. I'm not too eager to meet with him because I can't imagine what other privilege it would present to see him than what I'm." Miriam's voice was filled with conviction as she declared, "For God's sake, I can't imagine someone born of parents mortgage her freedom at this price you flaunt. At our age, I think life should be more generous than fulfilling dietary needs and more challenging than watching foreign TV stations, films, and movies." Episode 3. The guard's voice echoed through the hall, breaking the uneasy silence. "Hey. Hey. Hey. Baby girls, you have waited too long," he announced, his tone laced with authority. "We only asked you two to fraternize. We did not say you should plot a coup against the emperor." His gaze fixed on Amina. "The boss wants to see you," he said, his words sending a shiver down her spine. Amina's heart raced as she processed the sudden announcement. "The boss wants to see me," she murmured to herself, her emotions a mix of fear and curiosity. She fidgeted, trying to steady her nerves. She turned to Miriam, her voice trembling. "Yeah, Miriam. That means that we may not be able to see each other again in life. I don't know what's next, sure." Miriam watched as Amina and the guard faded into the next hall, a sense of dread washing over her. She could now see the magnitude of fear lurking behind Amina's facade of self-assertiveness. Overwhelmed by the situation, she broke down and wept uncontrollably.
Under cloud, beneath the stars, over snow on winter's morn, I turn at last to paths that lead home, and oh, where the road then takes me, I cannot tell. We came all this way, but now comes the day to bid
Meanwhile,
you
in another part of the
farewell.
compound, the emperor and his aide were in deep discussion. If we keep to the humanitarian charter of our way of proceeding, it's possible this girl will expose us, the aide warned. The emperor's expression darkened. "Any success?" he inquired, his voice filled with frustration. "No show, chief," the aide replied resignedly, indicating the deep cut on his upper lip. "You can see what I got from the devil. I had to release her to keep my life intact. We can't continue to entertain the mad girl." The emperor's patience was thin. "Damn it," he exclaimed. I have told you the best approach is to use carrot and stick. She needs more stick than carrot, the aide insisted, his voice unwavering. The emperor's gaze was steely. Okay. Just carry on. She must learn the rules, then make an appropriate choice, he ordered. The aide nodded, his resolve firm. Yes, Chief, he responded, ready to carry out the command. The emperor inquired, any success? Seth, with a resigned look, replied, no show, Chief. He pointed to a deep cut on his lower lip, which was oozing blood. 3 other terrible scratches adorned his cheek. Emperor, filled with concern, asked, what caused that to you? The girl. We allowed her nails to grow into a weapon of mass destruction and she uses that to the fullest advantage, becoming more untouchable than ever, Zeph explained. The emperor's patience was thin. No. This rubbish must stop. I have taken enough of this nonsense. But she must realize that she is pushing me to the wall. Zeph, insistent, said, Chief, I continue to insist that she goes. She is stronger than a tiger. The emperor pondered, can't you get those nails cut, pulled out if possible? Zeph with a hiss, the problem is how to get close to her. Then you can talk about getting hold of her. She is more violent than a maniac and stronger than a tiger. I defied her spittle to grab her to drug her and got this. If we keep to the humanitarian charter of our way of proceeding, it's possible this girl will expose us. She is too queer. The emperor considered his options. Do you think you need more hands to tame her, even if it means tying her to a stake? Zeph became doubtful, unless we are prepared to return violence for violence in violation of the humanitarian charter of our way of doing things here. And I doubt that violence could quell her insubordinate will. You said you have tried some sedative on her, the emperor asked. Zeph nodded, how do you administer that? I said you can't get within 5 yards range of safety from her, except of course we have any sedative in form of aerosol. Put it in her food. I wonder where Sir Ashwanuka picked that kind of thing, the Emperor of Black Pot of Ink Republic says, frustrated. Zeph, still assertive, says, Chief, you won't believe this. But I have taken those precautions. I came back and found the dishes empty. Yet nothing happened to her. Maybe she did not eat the meal. The Emperor's face hardened. Then you must schedule a meeting between her and Baust, though I don't like sharing my girls with that beast. The feeling of knowing that he has used my woman before me sickens me. But in this case, I have no choice. And you people say she is the prettiest girl that has ever been brought here. In any case, leave them to get acquainted with each other this evening. Let's know what happens, he ordered. Baust, the Italian-trained German shepherd, was notorious for his effect on the girls. When he mated a girl, she became a sort of sex maniac. Episode 4. In another part of the building, Zeph introduced Baust into the room and quickly faded as he had come. Miriam found herself face to face with fate. The hound surveyed the exquisite room suspiciously and began to bark. Baust continued to growl as it made advances at Miriam, jumping haphazardly and aiming from all angles. Miriam's gesture of friendliness disarmed the dog. What Baust saw was different from the instructions it received. Instead of encountering a radically violent person, it faced a friendly, charming girl. Miriam waited for an opportunity to deal with the dog. She had heard French being spoken just before the door opened and the dog entered. She concluded that the dog had been addressed in French. Standing on its hind legs, Baust charged against Miriam and pressed her against the wall. However, she remained calm. There was no iota of panic or fear in her innocent eyes. Fear, panic, and aggression are the simplest evidence of enmity one can betray to a dog. Baust stood on its hind legs with its forearms resting on Miriam's shoulders, their faces close like a man to a woman. With her understanding of French and experience with Italian Alsatians in the police barracks, she decided to act. She turned the dog from an enemy into a friend. Hi, je suis Miriam. I understand you're such a well-trained and gentle guard, she continued in French, that does no harm to innocent people. And of course, I'm a daughter of Aig Bola Balix. Miriam called this name as if she knew what she was doing. But she did not. Yet the mention of the name stood her in good stead and completely converted the dog to her side. The dog began to lick her mouth, but she gently pushed it away. Please behave yourself, she said pleadingly. Then she began to stroke the dog tenderly, moving her palms up and down on the furs of its neck. Miriam was not new to pets. She had been in charge of feeding the hounds at the Nigeria Police Area XL, Area Command, Victoria Island, Lagos. Her father, a deputy superintendent of police, was the area commander. During this time, she developed a knowledge of how to get friendly with strange dogs without causing harm. That was barely 3 years ago before she and her mother parted ways with her overly promiscuous father, DSP Bola Balix. Bola, a Muslim, had married Aisha as his fourth wife. Yet he kept cheating on these women, a situation that Aisha would not condone in the least. When Zeph opened the door, he delighted at what he saw. Baust was lying beside Miriam with its head in her lap. She was stroking the dog. Zeph hurriedly disappeared to announce the good news to the emperor. Chief, come oh. The miracle has been wrought. That's hardly something to be excited about. It's a sure bet. Have you told her she would be seeing me this evening? Not yet. Let me do that now. The story of Miriam and Amina continues shortly. Please, like, comment, share and subscribe. Episode 5. It is 7:15 p.m. Empire Time. The tension in the air has somewhat subsided, and all intelligence reports indicate that the girl is eager to meet with the emperor. Aig Bola, anticipating tonight's marathon, has taken an overdose of Viagra, knowing full well that his object would be insatiable. The house guard gives her the final instruction, just enter there. You may not need to knock. The meeting turns out to be the most painful experience each of them could have imagined. They peer at each other with strained efforts. You. Jesus! Pointing at Jesus! Her mouth hangs wide open, and her effort bursts her tear glands. Unusually large drops of tears begin to drench her feet, flooding the quad-style floor and drifting towards the bed where he sits, anticipating her. The man sits transfixed, confused. He had never witnessed this heavy downpour of tears. No. I have seen tears before. I have seen blood, although I have not seen it rain down by men's eyes. I had withstood crocodiles' tears and refused to be moved even by tears of innocence. Being a man is much more honorable than being emotional, being controlled with what the ear hears and what the eyes can see. But how can I contain or escape these tears of judgment, cry of conviction and sobs of condemnation? He springs to his feet and hurries out of the room. The least partner he had expected to play with in this game was his own daughter. Miriam, you're justified to be mad at me. But you must agree with me that I'm not totally to be blamed. This thing wouldn't have happened if you had listened to me. But you chose to pitch the tent with your mother who could not protect you. Now you see what happens to children who choose to be insecure. You know I parade facilities that could guarantee world-class security. Society has become so evil that only the cunning and the crafty survive its stings. You must realize that I did not go into this only as a payback to society for its wickedness. I was pushed to this extreme by the natural makeup of man. Of course, you are aware that that's the problem I had with your mother. It was not that I was unable to provide for her material and sexual needs. I gave her more than she wanted. Yet she grew jealous that I exercised my prowess for my own health and safety. Whatever be the case, I swear to Allah in your honor and promise you on oath that I will ensure that you receive VIP security henceforth. He continues to pace up and down. At any rate, Mr. Bola continues, it behooves me to inform you about the sexuality of man. Then you could be a bit mild in your judgment and sentence. You may not know this, unlike women whose sexual urge and need experience a decline at menopause, a man's sexual needs present a different figure. It is as intense in old age as in teenage years. It does not present an ordinary exponential growth curve. A man's sexual urge is the same as a woman's insofar as the log and stationary phases of growth in puberty and adolescence are concerned. Beyond these points, the two systems present different patterns. A woman's sexual activeness witnesses a decline at the lag stage and continues to regress until senescence. On the contrary, a man resumes a luxuriant log phase of growth after the stationary phase in adulthood. The urge maintains a steady increase in intensity and attains the highest plateau in old age. At this point, a man's psychosexual needs return to its childhood nature. He begins to be in need of a woman more than a baby would deserve tender loving care. He wants to be pampered and spoilt. He yearns to be cuddled, petted, and romanced. These make us feel young again. Such are the things old men do in old age. An experience has shown that young girls feel the vacuum more than any sexual alternatives. This case is made worse for monogamously married men who at some point lose their partners to death. Somehow, they need to discharge some of this unlimited sexual energy. That's why you find out that the majority of our members come from Christendom, where their religion has condemned them to the one-man, one-woman sexual aberration. But the natural truth is that one woman cannot be enough for a man. He needs at least 4 women to deploy his enormous sexual resources equitably. In fact, he can conveniently sustain the average tempo of 24 women. Solomon, the wisest of all men, knew this. Many a man has suffered so multifacedly because of this deficiency that we could no longer neglect it. That's why many of them are felled by stroke, coronary thrombosis, prostate cancer, and associated internal organ failures. He pauses as if in search of new ideas. He bends down and observes Miriam, who has opened her eyes. He pushes her eyebrows upward to expose the eyeballs. Then he continues. We have seen enough. So, we voted for a contributory trust fund to build this empire, Black Pot of Ink Sex Republic of Young Girls for Old Men. Of course, it cost us a fortune to establish the complex structure you see here. I know you would not believe that you are deep inside a mangrove forest in Edo State, Nigeria. You would have been thinking you're in Italy or Switzerland. And you noticed that you did not know how you came here. You're brought here in a cargo copter, which is the only means of transport to the place. Out there at the central edge of the parabola defining the empire is an airstrip. You're brought here by one Sir Ashwanuka. He is a knight of the Catholic Church. Yet he is more diabolic and demonic than a demon. The picture he paints plunges Miriam backward to the events preceding the 3 days prior to her disappearance. AIG Bola comes under a critical effect of the Viagra he had taken in excess. He staggers like a drunkard under the intoxicating influence of wine, falls mouth direct to the ground and lies sprawled on the floor. Blood and foam spat out of his mouth. Meanwhile, Miriam struggles to reconcile the past with the present. She is coming back from morning mass. She and her mom had converted to Catholicism after they separated from her father. Then a Toyota Land Cruiser pulls beside her. It is in Folomo, Lagos State, Nigeria. Hello. Girlie, can I drop you off wherever you're going? No thank you, sir, she replies curtly. I'm all right. She increases her brisk steps as if scared. The Land Cruiser swerves into the pedestrian's lane and stops in front of her. Baby girl, come on, be a good girl and accept my offer. I see you daily in the church at morning mass. It's my desire to encourage you to sustain this piety. Can't you see we are members of the same church? Come on in. No, she screams emphatically. Can't you see I'm okay, she says in a snub and dashes into an adjoining close. The Toyota drives on but soon turns into the next street, which would bring him to the other end of Augustus Thomas Close. Miriam is filled with awe when the same driver of the same car reappears ahead of her. She virtually takes to her heels back to where she emerged from. The next day, Sir Ashwanuka tries to give her a lift but she declines the offer again.
Under cloud, beneath the stars, over snow on winter's morn, I turn at last to paths that lead home, and oh, where the road then takes me, I cannot tell. We came all this way, but now comes the day to bid you farewell.
On this third day, she is going to school with her friend Linda. Then a black Mercedes pulls up beside them. Another girl dressed in the same school uniform as the two girls is already behind in the owner's seat. Hop in fast. You're almost late, the young man in the steering offers. Come over here, he beckons at Miriam and indicates the passenger seat. The two girls do not have any qualms in accepting the lift. So pretty baby, how is school? He says to the girl in front. Everything is okay, she answers and keeps her face straight ahead. So why are you going to school at this time? Nothing. Anyway, I knew I was going to meet you this morning. How did you know? I have remained captivated in the past 2 days when I saw you pass this street in your smart school uniform. So, I decided to see if we could get on well with each other, the young man says. Are you married? No. Why do you ask? Anyway, I'm not yet thinking about a man with whom to get on well or not. Moreover, even if I must have a male friend, it will not be a sugar daddy. As you can see, I am not married. I'm the last born to Chief Sir Dr. Godswill Ashwanuka. We are a Catholic family. My father is a knight. He lost our mother last year. So, he needs a young girl to make him feel young. Jesus! Stop me here. At this moment. This scream was the last thing she could recall that happened that day.
These wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real. There's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. And I held your hand through all of these years, but you still. These wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real.